You've got a Defiance daily target, 2x long MicroStrategy ETF. Yes. How is demand for those sorts of leverage products on MicroStrategy at the moment?
Demand is on fire. That's the best way I can put it. You know, we've seen billions of dollars of assets flowing into this ETF. It's by far the fastest growing ETF that we've ever seen. And I think the reason is that, you know, Bitcoin has just taken off. And whether that's because of the commercialization of Bitcoin, ETFs holding Bitcoin, you know, favorable policy with the new government coming into office, I just think that there's this huge tailwind. And who is the best proxy for Bitcoin? It's MicroStrategy. So stock listed on an exchange. As a single name, it trades as a leveraged, you know, version of Bitcoin, and we've now leveraged it 2 times. And so this, you know, short-term volatility traders love the ETF, and it's just been wildly popular.
And from an institutional perspective as well as a retail perspective here?
Absolutely, both institutions and retail. I think what's great about the institutional angle is that some institutions are still sort of weary about holding Bitcoin itself, whether it's through the digital wallet or using an ETF for it. But, you know, MicroStrategy is just a stock, right? That trades on an exchange, and so they are able to put that in their portfolios. And I think that shores up a lot of demand.
A very volatile holding in their portfolios. Talk to us about, therefore, when you're looking at the hype cycles around whether it's crypto or AI, compare and contrast how much you still seeing people wanting to pour into the infrastructure side of the AI bet and other ETFs you have exposure to there.
Yeah, I think that the demand is at its all-time high, right? Ever since the ChatGPT moment and now the Google Willow moment and, you know, crypto and kind of all the buzz around that. You know, there's trillions of dollars of cash sitting on the sidelines. There's the biggest wealth transfer of our generation happening as we speak. And, you know, Gen Z, Millennial, Gen X, kind of, you know, the younger traders this is where they're allocating their funds to. And, you know, retail has definitely spoken, institutions have definitely spoken, and they're looking for that fourth industrial revolution allocation. And, you know, the biggest trades right now are basically quantum and MicroStrategy.
Let's go into quantum, because we just had Jack Hidary on from Sandbox AQ and talking about how we're starting to see quantum theory be put into practice. You just mentioned Willow and their breakthroughs over at Google. Which other stocks should people be looking at? Are they only dominating on the big companies that have got exposure to quantum, like an IBM or a Google, or are they going smaller?
Yeah, and so we kind of looked at this space, and what I liked about what Jack explained, his company has the A and the Q, the AI and the quantum, right? So ChatGPT, AI is, you know, kind of version 1. Quantum is taking everything to the next level. So you need quantum in order for AI to be efficient. You need to process that data quickly. It will help, you know, essentially healthcare, cryptography, aerospace and defense, you know, blockchain technology. Anything you can think of will be bettered with quantum supercomputing power. And so the most popular stocks right now are a combination of large caps and small caps, right? So you have like the IBMs, the Googles, the NVIDIAs. Some of these companies are actually very relevant, HP, IBM. And then the smaller names that are just taking off hundreds percentage points of performance are companies like D-Wave, IonQ, Rigetti Computing. We actually married them in our ETF quantum. So you have the large caps and the small caps. So the ballast and the quality earnings with the high flyers and the movers that are just winning.
Just look at these high flyers for a moment. Like, we're up basically 1,000% on D-Wave quantum over the last year to date, 200%. How cautious have been people getting into these wildly, well, volatile names, even if they are up and to the right?
Yeah, I think that people have been doing a combination of both, right? So they're getting into these smaller names, but they're also looking at things like the ETF that balances.
Here.
Yeah, and you know, you want to kind of like balance it with the Googles, right? I think Google is a company that does many things and can perform quite well, and so it kind of like balances your risk on the small caps. But also, again, it comes back to the administration. Administration will be very favorable of quantum. You know, rate cuts. You know, kind of more freedom for M&A activity in theory, and so that also helps. The backdrop helps, along with just the super high-flying technology that's moving forward.